Hey all, Board Gamerants here. We'll find everything solo, tabletop, gaming, and more. An expressive gamer. This one I'm going to go over Raiders of the North. This is from a solo perspective. I'm going to give you a quick overview. I'm going to play through, not all the way through, but enough to give you an idea of, oh yeah, that's how it goes. And then my thoughts at the end. So without further ado, Raiders of the North Sea. Here we go. Here's this big, long, beautiful, colorful board. Here's our starting hand. Here's just a little reference sheet. Here's our starting worker. We actually start off with 2 silver as well. And what we're doing, we are Vikings, and we are going to prepare. We're going to be spending a lot of time taking actions down here to gain the necessary provisions and gain the silver and also gold and maybe taking actions to increase our armor so that we can go out and eventually raid north. And first, you usually start with these poor unsuspecting harbors down here. They don't even see you coming. And you come in and they're relatively easy to raid. You know, this one, for instance, you need to have 2 crew members and you need to have discard 2 provisions in order to raid this harbor. But eventually, you're going to work your way up. Now, word's out. You know, you've hit some harbors, you got the easy pickings, but word's out. And now to take out these monasteries or these outposts, well, you got to have more provisions and more crew. But because they're tougher too, you're going to have access to more victory points, like 2 or 4 victory points. Whereas down here, these harbors, they're all worth a generic 1, basically, victory point. And then eventually you get up to these fortresses. And these fortresses, that's where it's at. You got to have big crew and lots of provisions and even gold to pay your crew before you can even qualify to go after a fortress. And but there's lots of big points here that you can get. 11 victory points, 10 victory points, 12 if you have the corresponding 36 strength. So you got to have considerable might as you work your way up north and go after this bigger prey, if you will. And you're going to score victory points by raiding, of course, but you're also by getting this plunder. As you raid, you're going to take off the plunder associated with whatever action you're raiding or whatever section you're raiding, and then you can trade in plunder and you can go to your local friendly chieftain here and make an offering and give up these goods, and they'll be worth 5 victory points at the end of the game, for instance. Another way you get victory points is by going over here and working certain tracks. Like if you work your armor track and increase your strength by doing so, you can get up to 6 victory points depending on how far up the track you get. This track keeps track of how many, as you're going out, you might come across a Valkyrie or 2. These old black pieces right here kill off your crew. And as they kill off your crew, you gain glory and you move up this track. And if you end up losing a total of 7 crew by the end of the game, you get 15 points for that. It's pretty nice. So, and then this just keeps track of your, this goes all the way around the board and then resets. This keeps track of your total victory points. Here's a bunch of silver, and here's your provisions, and here's some excess goods, and here's your deck of potential crew. And you start off with a hand, and this hand you're going to you either hire your crew, and that's going to help you go out and raid, or you can oftentimes discard the crew and get certain stuff for it, like this one-time action here, or you can just generically discard crew and get silver or gold for it. And over here, this little deck here represents the Automa, or I'm going to be playing solo, so I'm going to take my turn, and then I'll flip over a card and see what happens with my opponent, and then I'll be taking another turn. When you take a turn, essentially you take a worker, you put him out there, you take its associated action, and then you pick a different one, and you take it off and take its associated action, and that's your turn. If, however, you raid, you would take your worker and you put it on a spot, making sure you qualify for it. You got to have a black or a gray worker to raid here, but you would need a white worker to qualify to raid a fortress. And as you're raiding, you not only get the plunder associated with whatever spot you raid, but you also get the worker too. So, and over here, once you raid this outpost, you'd have to raid it with a gray worker, but then you could potentially get a white worker back. And so you're always, at the end of your turn, you're going to have a worker to take and start your next turn with. And the game ends when either all these offering tiles are gone, Or the game end's triggered when there's only one fortress left, and there's 6 fortresses. If there's only one left to plunder, that triggers game end. And lastly, if these little Valkyrie tokens, if none of them are left on the board, that triggers game end, and they're all part of the plunder there. So 3 different ways to trigger game end. Let's see how this all plays out. All right, so we've got, and I had originally a hand of 5, but you have to discard 2. So I've discarded those 2, and they're up there. And here's my starting hand. I'll put my hand on the left and my crew on the right. Because again, this is in your hand. It doesn't really count for anything until you do something with it. So I get to take the first turn. So I'm going to take my worker here, and I am going to pick the barracks. Now, when you take barracks action, it has this little symbol saying that's what you're going to use your card for. There's these little symbols here. But I have to pay for that crew. I want this forager. It's going to cost me 1 of my coins, as that denotes. And then, boom! They are now part of my crew. And I'm going to gain 1 additional provision in the mill. So whenever I take this mill action, instead of just 1, I'll get 2. Instead of 2, I'll get 3, depending on the kind of worker that I use. So, and then to finish out my turn, I'm going to take this guy back. I'm going to use the Town Hall action, which means from my hand, I can discard somebody and use the blue action. So I'm going to discard this Gatekeeper and draw 3 new cards to my hand. So discard him. And then 1, 2, 3. Okay, there's my hand. You can never have a hand bigger than 5 cards. And... or I'm sorry, a hand bigger than 8 cards, and you can never have a crew more than 5 cards. And you can never have more than 8 provisions or any more than 8 silver. So by the end of your turn. So anyway, I'm totally under that limit. Now it's my opponent's turn. There they go. So the opponent, you kind of work your way top down. If they can raid, they will. If he had armor of 5 and 4 provisions, he would raid one of the monastery areas and get 7 victory points. If he can't do that, which he can't because his armor is 1 and he has no provisions, then instead he takes this action right here, which basically just says I go over to the offerings, I grab that tile in the middle as represented by that. So he's going to get 3 points, and I'm just going to put it down there, and he's going to score those points at the end of the game. And then Town Hall, he gets to block off, and I'll just use one of the die to block off. Well, it's got a number on it, a little confusing. I'll use one of the silver pieces here to block off the Town Hall. So that means I cannot use that action on my next turn. And it is in fact my turn. So now I want to immediately start using my forager. So I'm going to go to the mill, and instead of with the black worker getting only 1 provision, I'm going to get 2 provisions. So I'll go over here, I grab the 2 provisions, put that there. Now I have to take a worker back, but I can't take the same one. And if I took this back, I could hire a guy. I have a silver, and I have 1 a huntsman over here. Allows me to pay less provisions when raiding an outpost, which isn't too bad. What's this guy do? Okay, okay, I'm gaining armor. It's kind of nice. Well, you know, for now I just want more options. So I think I'm going to go up here. I'm going to take this guy back. The gatehouse just says draw 2 more cards. So there's my, just increasing my hand here. So I've got more options to choose from. And now it is Artemis' turn. Here we go. Flipping this over. Okay, again, he's not going to be able to really raid anything for a while until he starts building up. So Kit doesn't have 4 armor, doesn't have 3 provisions, so can't raid an outpost. But this means he goes up 2 on the armor track. So now he's working his way up to qualifying to raid, and then blocks off gatehouse. So I take this, block off the gatehouse, which I just took that action, and but I wouldn't be able to take it this turn. So now back to my turn. So let's go ahead and see about getting some silver, because we need to hire some crew. So I'll use a black worker, I get 3 silver. And reaching up, boop, boop, boop. There's my 3 silver. So I got 3 silver, 2 provisions here. Let's go ahead and hire somebody. So we'll take this barracks off, and we're going to hire. Let's see here. We have anybody that could help us? Got a lot of guys that help us raid outposts. This guy, if he's killed by a Valkyrie, I get to put him back in my hand. Usually, you just have to discard him. So let's go ahead and Let's see here. Gain 1 additional for each pair of livestock you score. Well, none of these guys do me a tremendous lot of good right now. So I guess I'll just put this guy out just to continue building up a cheap crew here. Cost me 1 silver. And I'm done. It goes back over to him. He takes his turn. And doesn't have that kind of ability yet to raid, but continues to increase his armor. So, and then blocks off the barracks. I like the Automa. It's a very straightforward solo variant. And very enjoyable because, bam, I get to get right back into my turn, the fun part. So, now, let's go ahead and let's see about, what's the potential for us to raid a harbor? Well, I've got 2 crew. That's this is my crew, and this represents I need 2 crew to raid this harbor, but I need 3 provisions. I've only got 2 provisions. So over here I have to have 3 crew, which I don't have, and I do have 1 provision. But here I've got 2 crew, and I got the 2 provision. So what the heck? Let's go raid a harbor. So what I do is I take my worker and put him up there. I qualify. It doesn't matter what type of crew. It just matters that you have 2 crew down. And then you spend the necessary provisions. And now I get to pick one of these 3 options to raid. If I pick one of these options, this set, I'll get these goods, but this Valkyrie is going to kill off one of my crew. If I pick this one, I get these goods, and this Valkyrie will kill off one of my crew. If I pick this one, holy moly, well, I mean, it'd only kill off the 2 that I have, and leave me crewless and with one cow and a gray worker there. So you know what? I'm going to go right over here. I'm going to take, of course, the best stuff for now. And I'll take this plunder. So that's my worker for next turn. I keep this stuff, but this Valkyrie represents an attack on my crew. I'm going to lose 1, and I guess I'm just going to take this huntsman. And sorry, huntsman, you got slaughtered really quick there. And because I still want to be able to use my forager to keep getting extra provisions at the mill. So, but I move up 1 on this Valkyrie track, and as that goes up, I'm going to get points at the end of the game. So that was my turn. Now I have a silver worker to work with next time, but let's go back over here. All right, so 5 has 4 of the 5 armor, but still has no provisions. So no raiding. However, here we go. This is where he starts building up. Gets to go up 1 on that track and then gets 2 provisions. So the Automa's gearing up to be able to raid. And then he blocks off the armory. So I put this there to remind myself that I can't use that armory. It's kind of a bummer too, because I wanted to be able to, you have to have a gray or white worker, and then I could have discarded my stone here and started getting my own armor up, but block that action. So it's an effective little Automa there, blocking me from doing what I wanted to do. Now we'll go ahead and, well, I know I'm going to want some provisions, and I do happen to have, I can take this longhouse action, and I have to have a gray or white worker, which I do. It says I can do either or. So if I had, oh, I forgot to flip that over. So if I had the provisions, which I do, I could basically get rid of, why not? It's 5 points. Let's do it. It says I have to get rid of this cow, gold, silver, or stone, or whatever you want to call that. I discard my plunder, and I take this, and it's going to be worth 5 victory points to me. So I'm going to flip that over. I mean, I'm playing by myself, I don't know, I'm hiding it from you, but whatever. I'm just going to put that down to stay in the habit and then draw. So that was my first action. I could have discarded that 1 cow that I had and gotten 2 provisions, but instead I decided to make an offering and get some victory points. And for my second action, I'm going to go over here to the mill, and I'm going to get a provision, but because I got my forager, I get an extra provision. There's that. Okay, back over to the Automa. Boom. Okay, here we go. That's close. He's got the 3 strength, but doesn't have the provision, so can't raid an outpost. However, keeps going up, so that goes up 1. 2 provisions. It's going to be, I have a feeling next time is going to be able to perhaps raid, and then blocks off the mill action. So good thing I took that. Now, black worker here. I want to continue to get provisions. And so what I'm going to do is take this town hall action. Then I'm going to go down and look at my hand over here. So this is my crew. I couldn't discard this. Discard one from my hand. I'm going to discard this one. Gain 1 provision and 1 silver. So I'm going to discard him to take that blue action as represented by the town hall. Gain silver and 1 provision. There we go. And then I get to take a worker back. Well, well, well. I think I'm just going to take, can't take this one back. You know, it's always just good to have money, and you can have up to 8, and I've only got 4, so reaching up, 1, 2, 3. Lots of money to be able to hire a crew. It's a good thing. Okay, back over here we go. Let's see what he does. Oh yeah, here we go. So has the one, easily has got 6 armor, 3 provisions. So it's going to spend those 3 provisions and is going to raid a harbor. And then there's 3 sets of harbors represented by here, here, and here. And this says he's going to do the bottom set and first raid the middle one if it's possible. Then if that's not possible, this would be the second choice. That would be the third choice. Well, as it is, all these are available. So he's going to take this middle one. So he raids here. And basically, he doesn't get anything for any of the goods. You just discard the goods, and this worker as well. You just kind of doesn't do anything with workers or goods. Now, if a Valkyrie had been there, then that would have affected something. But in this case, no Valkyrie. So he gets 4 points, and we go 1, 2, 3, 4 for red. So he's on his way. Scored the first points, and then blocks the treasury action. So block that. And then back to me. And now I'd get to go. And what are we trying to do here? What do we got? We've got, we want to start going up and maybe raiding something up here and going for a little bit of, going for some victory points perhaps. So let's go ahead and start hiring some crew. Let's go to the barracks. And let's go ahead and get some stronger crew. This one I get some extra strength when raiding a monastery. So let's hire him. Let's hire the armorer. 1, 2, 3 silver. You're hired. Bam. Okay. And then let's go ahead and see with the town hall. So I can't take this back. The only thing I can do is take this town hall. So I can, you don't have to take that action. I can just take the worker back and not take the action. But force an opponent to lose 1 armor. That's kind of a nice thing because that makes it less likely he'll be able to raid effectively. So he's going to lose an armor. So this game does have a little bit of a take that element to it. And that's how it affects my opponent in this case. So now let's see what they do. Well, 2 armor. Got it. Got 5. 1 provisions. Got it. So off he goes again to raid a harbor. And this time he's going to raid the center, which is this area right here. And he's going to raid this first. And if that wasn't available, this one and this one. So this one's available. So what happens is we grab all the goods there. And we're going to discard these because it doesn't do anything with any plunder. Doesn't do anything with any workers. Throwing that up there too. However, gets 5 points for that raid. So it's up to 9, unfortunately. And then Valkyrie. Valkyrie, the way a Valkyrie affects the automa is you go up 1 on this track, like he lost a crew, but then the armor goes down 1. So that's how, and this little handy dandy thing just goes over the very easy rules to follow for the automa deck. So, ta-da, and then back to me. And so now, oh, and then he blocks off the mill action. So there's that. That is no longer available to me. Okay, now getting back into it. Let's see here. Let's go with, I want to hire some more. I can't, so I'll go there. I'm going to get some, you know what? Actually, I'm going to go up to the gatehouse. I'm going to draw 2 more. Let's see what we get here. Okay, ooh, oh, brawler. This guy. Pretty nice, pretty strong with that strength there. Gaining an outpost. Let's see, what do we got? We got someone over here that's doing monasteries. So yeah, let's go with that. Let's go ahead and use the barracks. Taking that off. I'm going to hire for 4. I'm going to hire this big brute. And he's a hero. It says, so you can see that you cannot hire more than 1 hero in your crew. So that's important to note, but I'm putting him over there. And gain 1 strength for every 3 armor you currently hold. Well, I don't have any armor built up, so he doesn't do me any good yet, but later on he's going to start helping me out quite a bit. I am done. Back over. Let's see what my opponent does. So now, does have, 4 armor, but doesn't have any provisions, so cannot raid. Instead, takes this work action, moves up 1 on there, and gets a provision, and blocks the longhouse action. So I can't get that back now. Oh, I forgot that was even there. Hey, okay, so my turn. I will take this worker here. I need more provisions. We're going to go to the mill. We get the 1, plus our forger gives us a total of 2 provisions. And then let's go ahead and let's go to the treasury here. And no, wait. I can't do that. So yeah, let's go to the treasury here and let's discard 2 cards to get a gold, because I'm gearing up because I want to go after a monastery here. And I need some gold to do it. So now back over to him. Bloop. 8. Nope, only got 5. Doesn't have the provisions. So we skip that. We go down to here. It's going to go up 1 on that track and is going to get 2 more provisions and stays blocking off the longhouse. That is unfortunate because I can't raid anything up here unless I have a gray worker. So I'm kind of blocked out there. So let's just go ahead then. We've got plenty of crew here and provisions. So let's just go ahead and maybe go right here. Use our black worker. And let's raid. Oh, you know what? I don't think didn't I raid a harbor? Yeah, I raided a harbor. I forgot to get myself a victory point there. So there's 1. And then I just got another one. And so we're going to say we raided this harbor here. And take all its goods. And we got to spend a provision to do it. There's our provision. And we already got the victory point. So now we got another Valkyrie here. Well, you know what? Maybe we don't want. But we don't want to kill off anybody just yet. And you can totally pick. So I'm going to pick this one instead. We'll take that. There we go. Now I don't have to kill off any crew member. And I can start even potentially building up the armory, building up my armor so I can increase my strength so that my Brinjar hero will feed off of that. But let's go back over and see. It's not my turn anymore. Your turn. Okay, 3. Got it. 2 provisions. Got it. And going to raid a harbor. This one first. So of the set, it's going to be top set 1, 2, 3. So trade that in. And this was his first pick. So he's going to take that. Holy moly. Look at that. So he takes this. He's going to get 4 points. The red is now at 13 points. Yikes. Discards these goods. So no cow, no worker, no good. 3 Valkyrie. So that represents him moving up 1, 2, 3 spaces on that track and then down 1, 2, 3 spaces on it. So it kind of keeps him in check from being able to just raid and raid and raid and raid. But man, he gets some points for the Valkyrie, for those Valkyrie just keep wiping him out, but he's going to get points for that big time at the end. So back over to my turn. Let's go ahead. Let's take out a monastery because I gain 2 strength when raiding a monastery. So let's do it. Let's see how it works. So we've got this choice and we got this choice. We've only got 3 crew, so we can't do that. That needs 4 crew. So let's go over here. This one I can do because I've got 3 crew and I've got 3 provisions and a gold. So here's my 3 crew. Here's my gold. 3 provisions. And time to go raiding. And so before you actually decide what you want to pick there, you go for the victory points and see what you qualify for. So you look at these 2 strengths and you're trying to reach one or the other. And if you hit 12, you get 4 points. 20, you get 6 points. So I have right now a total of 4 5, 6, 7. Remember, this is my hand, so it doesn't count. So I've got 7, and then when raiding a monastery, the armor gives me 2. That's just his special ability there, gain 2 strength when raiding monastery. So 7, 8, 9, and then this is saying I get to roll 2 dice and add that to my strength. Oh, and then if I had any armor here, I would get to add its strength, but I don't. So I've got, again, 9 plus, we're rolling 7. So 16. So I got enough to get the 4 points, but I don't have enough strength to get 6 victory points. So it wasn't a super successful raid, but I do get 4 points. So we'll take it. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I think that gives you a good enough idea how the game's played. You just keep going, you keep building up, and until you work your way up, and you can take on these fortresses. But at the same time, you got this guy doing his thing, and then you'll score points pretty normally for him against yourself and see if you win. So there you have it, Raiders of the North Sea by Shem Phillips and published by Renegade Game Studios, I think. And this is a good one. The theme is cool. You know, you're Vikings and you prepare yourself to go out and raid and plunder. But it's on the lighter side. It's not too, heavy. I never played Blood Rage, but I know it has a similar theme. But it's probably much more, I still got to play that game, dang it. But I played a game called Vikings, literally called Vikings, and it's light as well. And so, but you can teach your kids this. I played it a couple times, 2 players. I enjoyed it, but yes, I do prefer, like most games, playing it solo. Because that way I can just whip it out and I don't have to look for anybody to, hey, try and teach or whatever. I can just go. And the theme is fun. And the mechanics, very straightforward. It's so easy, you put out a worker, you take one back, and you're done. And then, you saw the pace, how fast it moves. Something to be said about that. I like a game that moves that quick. You can get the automa, your opponent, your solo opponent, out of the way so quick, and it's just so easy that you can get right back to the fun stuff, which is doing your own play. And variability is it's decent. You set up, you saw the little plunder piles there. That's all set up randomly. At the beginning, you draw out of this black bag and you just kind of set 3 here and 4 there and 2 there. And so you're going to get a variation of plunder out there. It doesn't matter really too. If you go after a fortress or a harbor, you're going to get kind of the same level of plunder, but the difference, of course, is the victory points you stand to achieve by building up your strength. So you get a crew with those red numbers on the top left. You want that strength so that you can, when you go and you raid a fortress, you've got a huge crew with lots of strength, because you can hire a crew that doesn't have any strength, that's just good at foraging, like I started with. And then you can move into, as the Valkyries, you have them kill off your weak crew, then you go into having a pretty solid crew that's got a lot of strength, and then hopefully you've built up your armor track, so you've got just tons of strength, and you go in and you really get big victory points for those raids that you do near the end of the game. And then so you got pretty sizable deck of cards there of crew potential that you draw from, and so that adds to the variability. You've got the offerings. So you got these come out differently each time, and so you just sort of so there's not a tremendous amount of variability, but there's enough there. And the fact that it plays so quick, you can play this in 45 minutes. You can set it up, play it, be done. 45 minutes, I like that. It's a nice speed of, it's perfect for me and what I like in playing a solo game for what this does. And the rule book, real concise. Once you've read through it a time or two, you just never have to go back to it again, and that's nice. The rules for the solo, for the expansion, this is it. That's it's just this, and you just unfold it, and bam, there's all your rules, and it's just that easy. So in like, say, a game like Scythe, which I'm reading through right now to try and remember all the different automa stuff and how playing solo applies to each expansion. It's like another little research project each time, I want to get into that one compared to this. And so solo parameters are fantastic. It just plays lightning fast, and it gives you a good sense of, wow, he's really going after the raids this time, or wow, he's really going after the offerings this time, and you got to adjust. And then you win or lose. You score them up much like you'd score a normal person, and you see what you got. So the overall enjoyability here is high. I like this as a solo game. I don't have any of the expansions. As a side note, I'm a little burnt by, I showed you this, this expansion, $26. 16, I guess, for the pack of cards. It's just cards. And then I had to get it shipped over here from New Zealand or something. And the expansion's 35 for a full expansion. And I think it was kind of a missed marketing opportunity. I would probably have suggested making this a print and play. And then the loyalty and the goodwill that would have generated, I wouldn't even hesitate to go out and pick up these expansions, because but having already spent 26 bucks on that, I'm just not kind of, you know, it's almost, I don't know how to describe it. I'm not asking for stuff for free, but maybe it's my background and what I do for a living. I think should have made this print and play. And then people like me, who really kind of just go out and buy games on a whim, I would have gone out and got these expansions and felt good about it. But now I just don't really. So kind of on to the next game. Because this is good as it is. So there you have it. Raiders of the North on Board Game Rants. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.